Spade, but then also Chris Farley is in this ad because he's in this clip, and he's doing a very famous scene where he's wearing the David Spade's character's coat and moving back and forth because the coat is too small, singing "Fat Guy in a Little Coat." Now, there's been a surprising, what's the word I'm looking for? Just
outrage? Uproar?
Sure. That works. I mean, that works. It's not the word, but it works. And what do you think? Do you think it's offensive? People are saying that it's offensive. They can't believe that David Spade would be willing to do this. And what do you think? First, let me just give your first reaction of if this is poor taste. Was this commercial done in poor taste?
I don't think so. It's people are just overreacting. I mean, it's all it is it's literally the clip from the show spliced in with David Spade in live action acting.
But what they're really doing there is using Chris Farley to sell that.
Right.
They're not using David Spade. So
yeah,
do you agree?
I understand that. They're understanding
because
here's why I don't have a problem with it.
He's making the pitch, but it's right. Chris Farley who's selling that because
right.
nobody cares about David Spade.
Well, yeah, without Chris Farley, there was no David Spade.
Nobody's gonna.
Here's why I don't have a problem with this.
A product from him.
The family and the estate owners, which would obviously be the family of Chris Farley, signed off on this as being okay. I think the idea behind this was honoring the memory of Chris Farley. He's been gone since '97
by selling DirecTV.
Right, but the commercials and the advertisements are homages to great, just epically good movies normally that the general populace likes, and they're just an homage to these great movies that people will identify with. And I don't think like it was too. Some of the articles were saying it was too soon. He's been gone for 12 years, guys. I mean, that's not too soon.
Yeah, and they've done other ones. I think that another really famous one is from Poltergeist.
Yeah,
they used, and I think most of the cast of that movie is dead.
Yeah,
so.
But
it's not a new thing that they're doing.
People are
it's just people's love of Chris Farley.
Here's kind of what I think is going on. I see these blogs and this blog sphere just erupting over this. But if you look at the comments on these blogs and the YouTube video of the ad, and you talk to just normal people, I don't think that many people are upset. I think it's just these middle area blog news sites quotes are trying to get into the news. And they're just trying to make an uproar on something that's really not that big of a deal, so they're talked about in the news. Because, like, in this article alone, they referenced 3 blog sites. I think they're just trying to make a media frenzy for themselves. It's an interesting take. I mean, there's no factual thing to support that, but it's just something that came to mind. The only thing that stood out as weird to me was that the way that David Spade would sign off on it. I mean,
that was a big part of the controversy because he wouldn't even go to the funeral.
Yep, that's exactly right.
Because his press release, I think, when he didn't show up at the funeral was he couldn't bear to be in a room
with Chris in a box.
Yes, with Chris in a box, and so it is very surprising. And I don't know. I personally don't like any of those commercials.
I love them. I think they're interesting,
but I don't. Well, I disagree.
Well,
but do you think then we're going to generalize this a little bit?
All right.
Do you think that dead celebrities should be used to sell products? I mean, you obviously don't mind, but do you think that it is an ethical thing to do?
It depends. I mean, as long as the people that are associated with it, people that are the estate holders and the people that, have the rights to, his likeness are okay with it.
Yeah,
I don't see why a company shouldn't be allowed to try it. It might be received as being in bad taste, but when you use somebody who's been gone for 12 years, I think you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
You mean as beloved as he was.
So then does the use of Michael Jackson
that's where I was
upset you?
That would be a little too soon, I think. I think that would fall under the too soon.
Because he's clearly, although it seems to have had an interesting effect in improving his image quite a bit, but they've still completely abused the man and his everything he's done, his music and his image to make money. Although, he had, I don't remember how much in debt, $400 million or something.
Yeah, something ridiculous like that. But no, I think it's just going to have to be a judgment call by the company. And are they willing to accept the risks of their advertisements and their customers being upset by the image of them exploiting a dead celebrity if they feel that way? But
all right, well, then we are going to play a PSA and then a song, and we will be back after this to discuss a man who was fired from Home Depot for wearing a religious button. All right, be back after this.
The state of Iowa has joined 30 other states in creating safe havens for infants. The Safe Haven Act is a law that allows parents or another person who has the parent's permission to leave an infant of up to 14 days old at a hospital or healthcare facility without fear of prosecution for abandonment. For more information, call 1-800-369-2229. You are never out of options.
Welcome back to Informavores. This is Marcus alongside with my co-host here, Alex. And we're going to keep the show moving here with with an article from Florida. A man was fired from Home Depot for wearing a button that said, "One nation under God, indivisible," with a picture of the American flag in the background. He had worked there for 19 months, and no one ever mentioned that it was a problem. As a side note, he also read the Bible during lunch break, so he's obviously a very religious man. One day, he was told that he couldn't wear the button, and then he was fired. I don't know why, but they had no problems with his work, but he was just fired for wearing this button. And
new manager?
It doesn't say. It just said that he was fired for wearing this button. It's weird. It said that the button was not Home Depot issued, and part of the company's dress code is that they have to wear Home Depot issued stuff. So the direct quote from the Home Depot spokesperson was, "Non-company buttons, regardless of their message or content, cannot be worn." So, what do you think about that? Do you think that he was fired for the button? I mean, there's nothing really.
I think he was obviously fired for the button, but
it's going under the guise of as a dress code violation.
I just don't. Do
you think it's
I bet it's because it's a religious button. I highly doubt that if you would have had just some goofy button that it would have been an issue at all. I assume it's because it was a religious button. I don't know whether or not. I mean, it's, once again, you run into this. It's a private company. You work for them. I think that they could, if he refused to work without, or excuse me, if he refused to work, if he couldn't wear the button, then I would fire him too if it was that kind of an issue. But
yeah, well,
I just don't. It goes in. I mean, you get into a lot of things, discrimination, stuff like that, because then you got to have. The Islamic person needs to wear their button, and then the Jewish person needs to wear their button, and then Home Depot is suddenly a collage of religious buttons, and people. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I think they can fire him. That's the point.
I don't know if I agree with it. They can fire him, especially because from what I read in the article, there was no warning. There was no.
What are you going to do then?
Well, I'm just saying that there was, from what was given to us, I understand it was biased because it was from him and his lawyer, not directly from Home Depot. But from what my understanding of the article is that there was no warning and no nothing. And for 19 months, he was allowed to wear this. He was allowed to wear this for over a year and a half. And then one day they say he's fired. I don't, either he's not telling us something or they had a customer complaint. But in any case, he should get a warning before being just blatantly fired.
Yeah. And
that's the only thing that's weird to me.
I mean, we have to keep in mind that it's a disgruntled employee. So there could be an aspect of the story that's not there.
Right.
Because Home Depot, I mean, you run into a chain, so it's not like you're going to get a personal interview from someone who actually knows. Mm-hmm. You're going to get some PR. Well, we did. We got a PR response about dress codes and just all this junk.
Blah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. So I'm betting somebody had to have brought it up. You'd at least hope so. If they didn't bring it up, then I'm changing my argument a little bit. Yeah. But I would say if he refused to work, if he couldn't wear that button, then he has to leave.
Yeah. Okay. So, do you think that's religious discrimination? Then let's go. We go one of two ways. Do we want to go with that he was not given a warning, or do we want to go with the way that they were possibly given a warning? I think we should just go with what's in the article, and let's assume that he was not given a warning and was just blatantly fired for the button. Let's take that assumption.
And I will.
Do you think that is religious discrimination then? Like, does that qualify as religious discrimination?
Not under I mean, they did it under the guise of the dress code. So I think that they can still do it. Okay. Although I'm assuming it's probably made someone feel awkward. If they had fired him because he was reading the Bible, purely religious discrimination.
Okay, that was the next question I was going to tie into it. Like I said, he reads the Bible on break, and no one has complained to him about any of this, and just seemingly one day he was fired. So you think that it's okay for them to do that?
Just to fire him?
Just to
random?
fire him? Yeah.
I don't think it's right, but I think they can.
Yeah, I mean, it is a private company, so they are allowed to do that. But this is just one of those details.
It's a shame.
It's one of those stories that you wish you had some more details to go on, but it's just interesting.
Yeah.
So, all right, you want to take us to the next one?
Oh yes. All right. So, elementary schools in New England are having all this are